All right, everyone. Thanks for standing by. Appreciate it. Looking to have a great conversation today with Chris Whitaker from Intelisys. Chris has been a podcaster, a sales leader, and as you know, a leader in the multifamily space with respect to technology side for a number of years. Tons of lessons to learn with respect to different audiences, different selling side of things, and excited to have this chat today. Reminder for everyone today, getting to hell yes. So why you're tuning in is we're looking to have we look to have detailed conversations with folks that have been selling in this space for a lifetime, their career, their lifetime, or recently. Hear about the things that are changing in the way people buy, and the goal is for everybody to understand or get a chance to share stories around what is different in the way people buy today. How do these people that are career sellers, create a career out of initiating change with people? What problems people are looking to solve, and really focus a lot on the problems that exist in the market and how people seek to solve those problems versus kind of the old way where it was like pushing solutions and ideas on people. So like we always kick it off, Chris, great to have you on the show today. Really appreciate your inputs and had a great chat with you last time on your podcast, Wireless Way. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get in this role, and what's the problem you guys solve at Intelisys?
Yeah, Guillermo. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Glad to be here. Gosh, where to begin? Yeah, so I actually, my first career was U.S. Army, Airborne Infantry. I really wanted to be G.I. Joe or Rambo. I'm not sure who, but it got to a point when my wife was pregnant with our third child, and I said, man, there's got to be a better way to bring home the bacon. And my brother-in-law was in the MDU space, actually selling access agreements to property owners. And prior to that, he was going door to door selling cable TV. And I said, man, I could do that. That's got to be, at least I could come home every night. And so that's kind of when I got started in sales, and I got my first commission check, and it was really like double what I'd made after being in the Army for 10 years. I thought, man, this sales thing is pretty darn good. And of course, going around selling, and by the way, I should know this definitely, it was late 90s, 98, 99. Cable modems were just being launched on the East Coast, Mid-Atlantic area outside of DC. And so I don't feel like you sold those. That was taking orders. I mean, everybody wanted high-speed internet, but definitely helped me learn, customer service skills and asking questions, and of course the sales process and whatnot. And that was kind of the beginning, not only sales, but the idea of technical sales. A little side note, because one of the challenges back then was it took like 2 weeks to schedule a internet install for cable modems.
Wow.
And it took 2 technicians to do it. I mean, this was new technology, frankly. Well, I said, so what I would do is I would schedule a customer, and then I would show up on the day of install, and I would watch how they did it, because I wanted to know. And I was never an IT guy or an engineer or anything, but I learned how to install the network interface card, the NIC card, into computers, because back then they didn't come with them, believe it or not.
Totally, it was a separate card. I remember that.
That's right. Yeah. So I ended up to my boss and said, look, man, this 2 week stuff's killing me, because you didn't get paid until it got installed, right? So I would knock on people's door and say, I can install it right now if you want to buy this. And man, that was the best closer ever, because no one wanted to wait. And again, Northern Virginia at the time was kind of like, they call it the Mid-Atlantic Semi-Valley. So you had, AOL was there, MCI WorldCom was there.
Yeah, tons of telco, like Global Crossing, MCI. These are all not even companies anymore, but MCI, Global Crossing, New Jersey, all around there.
Oh yeah. And so that's when I realized, to me, sales wasn't really about, making the money was a nice side benefit, but about solving problems, because, let's face it, man, if you had to live on 56K dial up, and I just did that for a little bit myself, but that was a painful process. You really couldn't take a full benefit of the internet at that time. So I did that, and it just kind of evolved, and I got into sales management and started leading teams, and then I started, being a very charismatic extrovert, type A. Reports and forecasts that was a struggle for me. I really had to learn the value of, hey, what's the business value of a good sales organization? Just winging it is not going to work. Yeah, winging it will get you so far, but if you want to go beyond your wildest dreams, you got to have a plan. You need to measure what you manage. So I learned the value of that, and and just kept growing and evolving. And in fact, spent 17 years actually in the cable and fiber and dial tone business to keep it very high level. And about 8 years ago, I had an opportunity to do a total pivot. And I love talking about pivots. And yes, if you're a Friends fan of the sitcom Pivot, to trigger a smile or a laugh, look it up if you know what I'm talking about, Friends, Pivot. So you got to make a pivot sometimes. And so I made a pivot from all things landline to all things wireless. And it kind of just happened. And I wasn't looking to do it. I just saw the opportunity and I took it. And because in the industry that I'm in the indirect tech channel, the dominant way things are connected to the internet is coax or fiber. But you just about can't name a business that's not using some form of wireless technology. If it's not the phone, it's a tablet or a wearable, or wireless backup or microwave or satellite. I mean, it's just everywhere you look now. And there's a lot of problems that come with that. And I just got back from IT Expo in South Florida. Guillermo, was 80 degrees and sunny. So I'm not trying to rub it in or anything.
It's terrible here.
I didn't get a tan while I was down there, but I get in the elevator and, we're all wearing our little name tags from the expo. Yep. And, of course, it's a dad joke. Some guy that goes, so what's your elevator pitch? And it was at the end of the day, I was tired. And I said, man, I don't do pitches. I just solve problems. And he goes, that's actually pretty good. And I was like, well, I didn't even mean to. that was just what I was thinking at the moment. Cause I've always said, I don't think I'm a salesperson. I just like to solve problems. And, I learned on this journey I've been on, you really can't solve a problem unless you can ask good questions and be a good listener. So, there's I've read so many books. I've gone to so many different sales training and I've learned one thing. At the end of the day, they're all the same. They use different terminology. They just call it different things, but at the end of the day, it's about meeting someone where they are, identifying their current state and understanding what their desired state is, and then having the knowledge to communicate what that solution should be. And the solution may be different, it's always different, usually for different people. So that led me through direct sales. And then another funny story. I was leading a team in Atlanta. We were selling business internet services and kept losing to this one particular company. And finally I asked the IT guys, like, hey, why did you make that decision? I'm just curious. I thought we had a great presentation. We got a great price. And he goes, well, I have this IT consultant that is our buyer. And when I talked to him about it, he told me to go with the other supplier. So I said, okay, well, I'll talk to him. And he's like, well, Chris, I was getting $100 credit from you, but, by selling this other solution, I was getting $3,000 commission. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I can't compete with that. And I'll learn more about it. It was the indirect channel where he was getting residual commissions by going through a technology distributor. And so I got to get in that business, so that's the other thing. I think another pivot, my career pivot, going from indirect to our direct to indirect, and got to get into the indirect channel. And that was around 2011. So it doesn't seem that long ago, but I guess it was. And even in that, went from, being a channel manager to a channel chief, product development. And it's been an awesome ride. I'm so glad. I mean, even I think what I've been doing in my journey kind of led me to connecting with you. So I'm grateful for that. But now I feel I'm a consultant to consultant and an advisor to advisors. I help other technology advisors and consultants, leverage the art of solving problems with wireless technology.
Is that Intelisys' core business?
Yes. So, well, yes. At least from my perspective, it is. But in a broader scope, Intelisys is that, the term is TSD, Technology Services Distributor. So pretty much anything that's a service, from connectivity to unified communications, cloud, AI is becoming a big buzzword that's kind of overlaying all the tech stack. I mean, you don't only buy AI, you buy solutions that are enabled by AI. I mean, there's all different types of AI, cybersecurity, so anything to do with communication and technology. And we're owned by, our parent company is ScanSource, which is a hardware distributor. So it's really a marriage of the two things every business needs: hardware and services, even professionals. Someone's got to install it. Someone has to manage it. Someone has to secure it. All the data
Yeah.
has to be secured. So it's been a fantastic, ride I'm on. I get to talk with all these different suppliers and all these different consultants around from coast to coast. And in Canada, actually. So they come to me with say, hey, I got a customer, here's what they're telling me their problems are. And I always encourage salespeople, hey, I call it a technology audit, I have templates that I provide for them going, it's just ask these questions. You need to, instead of saying, hey, buy my stuff, it's like, hey, what's going on in your world? I mean, again, this is all basically, I feel like very basic stuff in a sense from my perspective, but we identify, try to align, where they are, where they want to be. In fact, sometimes they don't know where they want to be. That's what they're talking to us. They're like, hey, where should we be? Sometimes, again, if you're in the property management business, maybe you know about building the buildings, but all the new technology, the water sensors and air quality sensors and security cameras, I mean, that's maybe not their wheelhouse. They need to partner with someone. And that'll be my other tip is, man, it's all about who you partner with, man. You need partner and have some diversity in your partnerships of different skill sets.
So when like from a buyer's perspective, when they're faced with a problem they're trying to address that's blocking them, what would they type into Google and get Intelisys as a result?
Yeah. Give me suppliers that have multiple options and expertise to help me with problem X.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
the injury. I mean, so it's funny because Intelisys, we're kind of, almost, we're kind of in the shadows. We're in the background. Our partners are in front. We're behind our partners. So really our partners, are the ones that will come to us. If you're in the business of selling technology, you're in the business. I mean, I've actually talked to commercial real estate agents that say, hey, I've been selling commercial real estate. It never fails. The client asks me, hey, well, who do I get my internet from? Or who's the best for this kind of service? So sometimes some of these agencies that are, in commercial real estate, they create a little subcategory for technical services and they'll work with our team and we'll provide them connections to all these different suppliers. And they present the contracts to their clients. So when they're doing a closing, they go, hey, by the way, here's your contract for your internet. Here's not all of them want to do it, but I feel like that's kind of this emerging area where, what's the saying? Get your fair share of the wallet. They're going to spend the money with somebody. It might as well be you. If you already have the relationship with them, you already solved one big problem for them. You can solve other problems for them. So, but the real purest of agents are trusted advisors. Another kind of very common term you'll hear in our industry.
Yep.
They're pure technology, problem solvers. They sell everything, that is in that tech stack of communications.
So who pays you then? Who pays Intelisys?
The supplier. It's a unique model. Thanks for asking. I forget that not everyone's in my world, right? So,
so always all the money, right?
That's right, all the money, man. So, we'll take 800-pound gorilla, Comcast Business. I mean, most people have heard of Comcast. They own NBC Universal. I think they're in I don't know 35 states or so, and they keep growing. But so we are a reseller, if you will. We're a broker for them, and plus another 300 or so other suppliers. Spectrum, Charter, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Wireless. Pretty much any kind of company you would go to for technology, we represent them. So we connect the suppliers with the sellers and the buyers, and they pay us a residual commission. So it could be anywhere. Let's just say 20%, 18 to 20% residual. So if it's $100, deal, we'll get that, 20% of that.
Yeah.
It comes to Intelisys, and then depending on the level of the partner, how much of the resources they need from us, some of them will get, 80%, maybe 90% of that recurring commission.
Is it all success based?
I'm sorry?
Is it all success based? Like on closed deals?
Oh, yeah, yes. You only get paid when the customer's billing. So, very low risk for everybody. And, having been a direct sales guy, and manage a direct sales team, it's hard to get 6 to 10 people that are firing on all cylinders. You always have your overperformers, your middle of the road, and then you got the 3 or 4 people that are on PIP. because maybe they're in the wrong job. I find usually, I being an optimist, I didn't want to think they were lazy. I just thought you're in the wrong job. This is not your thing, especially if it's outside sales, a lot of cold calling. Not everyone wants to do that. I think that's getting harder and harder to do now. But so yeah, it's I tell suppliers that, because suppliers come to us all the time going, hey, you have 10,000 selling agents, and we probably, in recurring revenue in any region of the country, our top partners are doing 300-400 million a year in recurring sales. That's a lot of money. And, that adds up. So if you want to get in on that, I'm like, great, we'd love to help you. But one, you got to have a partner program. You have a channel program, and there's a lot of good agencies out there can help people set that up. Because the benefit of course, is you're not just trying to hire 5 or 10 direct salespeople. Now, once you plug into this indirect channel, you have access to thousands of selling partners in every vertical. So it's definitely a science to it. It's not just a matter of magic happens.
So I mean, so you're kind of like a grocery store of solutions of suppliers. And so who do you sell to then? I mean, you help sell directly. You do a direct sale to a buyer, but you've got to get the suppliers as well. How does that work? Like, I mean, we're all familiar with two-sided marketplaces, but like, what is your principal challenge? Is it, I've got to get supply and then I got to get demand, or do you focus more on demand, or are you guys best in the world at supply? Like, what's the differentiator?
It's a whole ecosystem. You talked a lot about it. So you got someone that has the solution, and you got someone that has a problem, and you got these advisors in the middle that are experts in solving problems. So again, as a distributor / broker, I almost relate it to, like, again, going back to real estate. We're a real estate agency. You didn't build any houses, but in fact, you could go sell a house and might be listed with another broker, for example. But you're representing whoever's trying to sell the house, and you're bringing the buyers in. So a real estate agency is kind of like that, in the sense that we've created this ecosystem where we connect the supplier. We're almost, I hate to say the middleware, if you will, but we also track all the commissions. We provide engineering support. We provide marketing support, a lot of education, because, especially in technology, it's just changing, sometimes every day, but it feels like definitely every month, there's always something new coming on. So our role in Intelisys is being that middleware. Is we represent, the suppliers, because we're distributing their services, and we're connecting that with the sellers, which are our partners. So we have 2 customers in every deal, really. We have the selling partner. And we're connecting with our supplier relationship. They're selling kind of on our contract, if you will. So we got the partner experience.
Okay.
Their customer experience matters to us also. The customer may not even know we exist. Most partners, again, we're in the background in a way. We're support. We're sales support, giving them the supply, the supplier options. We're managing their commissions. We're giving them engineering support, education, escalation. Because sometimes, if our top partners have a problem with X, supplier, because we have such a big book of business with them, it's that buying power. We call that supplier and say, hey, one of our top partners, man, the deal's messed up. The network's not working, whatever. We need to get this fixed ASAP. So we get response, because it's not that one customer. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of, maybe thousands of customers under that supplier. So they want to make sure they keep us happy.
You brought up a good point on that. So do all of your suppliers fall under your paper at the customer level?
No, that gets even better, man. Yeah. So the supplier continues to own the customer. It's on the supplier paper.
Really? Okay. And so then they pay you guys like on results based, but it's not like the invoice comes from the customer. It doesn't come from your supplier. It doesn't come from Intelisys. Okay.
That's correct. Like I said, most end users don't even know we exist.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, because again, we're a technology distributor. We're a marketplace for the advisors to come to. We educate them on all the options we have. We do events almost several a month, where we go and train and bring the suppliers and do the whole lunch and learn thing, or a golf event, and give them a 30-minute overview of the different solutions and whatnot. So we try to have fun. I mean, it's fun, but it's a lot of work too. I mean, because you guys stay on top of everything.
So there's a lot of distributors out there. What makes you different from the other distributors? Like, do you have a specific niche you sell into, or like what as a supplier, imagine I've got 10 distributors to choose from. And do you guys have exclusivity on markets? Do you have them like, how does that, why as a supplier would I choose Intelisys versus choosing all 9 or the market? Like, I'm
Yeah.
curious how that, in terms of fulfilling the need. I'm speaking, even thinking of myself as Iris, right? Like, okay, centralized maintenance for or telemakmaintenance software or multifamily or single family. Like, why would I choose Intelisys as a partner versus another partner alternative?
It a lot of it, yeah, it has to do with reputation and tenure, nearly 30 years in the environment and this ecosystem, 10,000 plus partner reach, the reputation, the machine that's been built,
Mhm.
because there's different. There's another model that we get confused with a lot is wholesale.
Sure.
So
That was kind of my original question about the paper, right?
that's right. That's right. So when you're a wholesaler, oftentimes if you're a supplier working with a wholesaler, you just know that you're selling 100 widgets a week with that wholesale partner, but you don't even know who the customers are. But in
Yeah.
our model, we're introducing you to the selling agent that brings in the customer. So trying to connect the dots is another analogy I like to use. We're just connecting dots. We're making
Yeah.
the introductions. We're getting the right people in place, and we're overseeing the wholesale cycle and the money.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we all love technology, but everybody wants to get paid.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. And there's probably 5 key players now in this pretty much a US based indirect telecom ecosystem.
Mhm.
It's growing in Canada. It's growing in the UK. Even Australia, I've seen programs popping up there because are you familiar with CarMax, the auto
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
superstore? Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So another analogy, you could go to CarMax. Every car brand's there.
Yeah.
And CarMax didn't build any of them, but they're
Yeah.
selling them. But they'll do services on them. They do warranties on them, and the buyer gets a great experience because they
Right.
train their people really well on what kind of car are you looking for? What kind of car do you drive now? What would you like, and what would you do differently if you needed a new car, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's all about the customer experience and just representing the brands of the suppliers that we have relationships with.
Very interesting. So then when you're looking at hell yes for a buyer, I mean, where is your priority? Like, I mean, I know the easy answer is both, but like ultimately what leads the line? Is it the demand side and then you go find supply, or is it because that's what ultimately is going to create the revenue? Like, let's say and I'll use my example, right? If well, we're not really Wi-Fi wireless, but like, let's say for someone, one of your kind of like end customers is seeking as a problem. Well, they come talk to you and say, hey, I've got this problem I'm trying to solve with my internet. And better here we go. This is I would like to buy satellite internet. So they talk to Chris, talk to Intelisys. They Google, hey, I need to find some mobile solution for my remote locations. I'd like to buy satellite internet. And they come to you, and then you go find satellite internet partners, or you already have the satellite internet partners. You go, well, here's the 3 choices I recommend. How does that work?
Yeah, so you nailed it. And that's part of my role. I'm the program director for all things mobility and IoT, and I have counterparts on other parts of the tech stack that I mentioned: unified communications, cybersecurity, cloud, and AI. So yes, I said too earlier, it's really kind of 3. We have 3 partners in every deal. We have the suppliers of partners, so we call them supplier partners. We have the selling partner, and then there's the end user customer, right?
So who's the selling partner?
That's our real customer. So the selling partner, let's just I'll make one up. Complete Communications. Actually, I won't make him up if you're listening, Blake. Yeah, Blake, Darling, out of Utah, a good friend of mine. He has a company called Complete Communications.
All
So
right.
they're either solopreneurs or entrepreneurs. They own their own business, and they're generally, if you look them up on Google, they're categorized as a technology consultant or advisor. Or a communications, consultant of some sort. So that's really the seller. They don't work for us. I can't fire them. We love to hire them. And by hiring them, the only way we hire them is they come to us going, hey, Chris, I got a customer that needs X, Y, and Z. What do you think? Well, here's what I recommend. And the beautiful thing is, Guillermo, when I introduce Blake to Core Wireless or Epic IO or the AT&T rep or whoever the supplier may be, and they form a relationship, well, guess what? Now I'm just kind of there in support. he doesn't have to come to me again because I've already introduced him to two
Yeah.
or three options that solve whatever problem X is. And part of my role too is one, making sure I set proper expectations. Hey Blake, here's what they're really good at. You mentioned you needed this. Well, this is what this company can do really well. And then I brief the supplier, make sure the supplier, hey, look, here's an introduction. We'll do a kickoff call, do that initial discovery call, make sure the partner say, yeah, Chris, based off what the customer told me, that's exactly what they need. Great.
Yeah.
Let's get the customer in now. So we do a second call and introduce the Blake, our selling partner, will say, hey, Mr. Customer, you told me your problems. I have some options for you here. They're going to give you a demo. They're going to talk through it. And then, and it's always demand based because there's a problem, there's a pain point somewhere. And we're at this time where, technology is evolving so fast.
Mhm.
There was a time, and going back to the beginning of my story, where it was 56K dial up, and then it went to coax, and then you got T1s and ISDN and DSL. That now everything's on fiber. So every couple of years, there's a technology shift, and companies are trying to figure out how to keep up. If you're a dentist or a chiropractor or a property management company or something, that's what it's hard to stay on top of what's the latest and greatest.
So that leads to my next question. Is so there's two questions here. Why would somebody choose to buy from a distributor versus buying direct?
Yep.
Have you ever had somebody try and go around you?
Oh man, that's a sore subject, and it does happen. There's times. So I'll have someone come to me. We'll do hours and hours of research and work, and so our partners get bamboozled that way too. In a sense, the customer will use us as a resource to do all their research.
Yeah.
And the customer goes
showrooming.
Right. Yeah. We're educating them on the product. We got our engineers on here. We're building schematics and whiteboarding stuff. And I tell you, it only probably happens in my experience. I mean, if you're listening in the channel, maybe it's different. Maybe 1 out of 100 times. I mean, if we're doing it right, we build the relationship, we're listening. And by the way, here's why people should. Well, we have repeat, buyers. I would say, it's like when you go to CarMax. No one's forcing you to buy the Porsche because that's all they have to sell. They're forcing you to buy the right car. So we win no matter what supplier you buy. The partner wins, and the customer wins because the customer had several options. Because when you go direct to supplier X, guess what they're going to try to sell you?
Yeah, the Porsche.
Supplier X. That's all they got. They got one trick in their bag. When you go to a distributor, you have hundreds of options. And you have people like me and my team. We've been working with these suppliers. So we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. We've seen them evolving. We've seen their ups and downs. Hey, and by the way, it's technology. No one's got it all figured out. I mean, there's still human, as long as there's human beings running companies, yes, there'll be problems. There'll be things that go wrong. That's why I always say it's so important who you partner with, because when you partner with the right folks that you will take that call, on a Saturday afternoon when you need an answer, that matters. And you generally won't get that if you go direct to a big supplier.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. If you go to the Toyota dealership, you're not going to get offered a Ford.
That's right. If you want a Ford pickup truck, you're not going to, unless you maybe get off their used car lot, then they won't support the warranty on it because they're not a Ford dealer or whatever.
So is it because buying is risky?
Is it because buying is risky?
Yeah, if I'm making a purchase, I mean, there's some writing on this, and that when you're looking at your champions in a deal, right? And you're doing champion management. And recognizing or acknowledging that your champions are taking a career risk to make any recommendation or choice. And you're competing against the status quo. The status quo is do nothing. We'll just suffer through the pain. And really very few people people get fired or don't make bonus or not doing anything. But it takes a while for that to happen because there's nothing to point at.
That's right.
But when they go make a recommendation to buy something, there's risk. If I make a recommendation to go buy, from this cellular supplier versus this cellular supplier, I'm making a choice and a recommendation that's going to be held against me. And so there's a lot of writing around that risk, that career risk that's taken or personal risk that's taken when you make a recommendation. And the question I was getting at is that is buying risky, is recommending risky. And so, like, if I go buy through Intelisys, I'm going to get vetted suppliers. They're going to be here for a while. Versus if I go Google cellular servers, I could get the one that it's not even a. No, I'll give you an example. Here's maybe a better example. So, like, home warranty insurance, right? There's a big, huge market of third party.
Yep.
And there's some like rock solid, blue chip companies out there. And there's people that run out of the back of their basement and just kind of like resell it. If you go Google, I need a home warranty, you're going to find them. They all rank up depending on who's buying the ads. Right. And like, if I'm a buyer making a recommendation, given that the world's going to give me 100 different choices, I do want to make that choice easier, and I do want to de-risk it. Because if I make a choice that turns sideways, then it's on me.
Right. No, you're spot on. I love that. Yeah, because I was like, there's a few ways I could have answered that question, but I mentioned it earlier. Trusted advisor. So we call our partners trusted advisors because they're partners too. I mean, we're in it together. We're in the foxhole together. Using that military analogy, but to be a true trusted advisor, you can't just slap that label on your LinkedIn profile. To be trusted, you have to have your due diligence, integrity, your referrals have to check out. You need a track record. You have to earn the title of trusted advisor. So you know that our trusted advisors, they could just go, work with unvetted suppliers, or they come to us going, hey, we've sold thousands of units with this supplier. Here's their metrics. Here's their customers, NPS scores. And by the way, another reason partners like working with companies like Intelisys is residual commission. So as long as their client is paying that supplier, they're getting that percentage every month, as long as they're paying the bill. And there's a lot of agencies out there that have 6-figure monthly commission checks coming in. So, and going back to the other part of your question you asked really too, what's driving it? Fortunately, technology is evolving, as I mentioned. So no one's still on 3G. 4G is great, but everybody wants 5G. And guess what? I just came from a conference. We're already talking about 6G, this AI optimized, so with everyone saying, hey, we need something more efficient. We need something faster, something better, something more secure. There's always a better mousetrap. And, maybe some of it's FOMO, but a lot of it's just driven by our regulatory needs, the need to be more efficient and effective. I mean, because the longer you have to wait to download something, you multiply that over the course of the year. Obviously, we have that conversation all the time. Or what happens when your internet provider does go down for 2 or 3 hours and all your stuff's in the cloud. Well, guess what? You can access it now. But if you had a wireless backup that's connected to it, and maybe even a satellite, if it's mission critical, like if you're a day trader, and literally every second could be thousands of dollars, kind of the extreme example, but people tell me that you want to have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary, a third connection, so you can do all you can to make sure you're always online. I mean, that's a big part for a lot of companies.
Your experience in the military, starters, I mean, thank you for your service. Like it's something that I've really, in my career, being an ops my whole life, had a chance to work alongside a ton of folks in the military. And I felt they brought certain characteristics to the game that didn't exist in other disciplines. What in your background in military, what do you think, if you were to dig deep in your sales success, what part of your military background is there something from your military background that you draw on to help instill the success that you've achieved in the sales side?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's one that I feel like I ponder quite regularly, believe it or not. But even in the military, we had these different mantras and, unit mottos, but, one comes to mind is like, no mission too difficult, no sacrifice too great. If I apply that to helping you with your business, I think we're unstoppable. I mean, I think there's definitely, some work ethic maybe comes with it. The camaraderie part is really important to me. I like to work with people that I get along with.
Sure.
And, that's my preference, but guess what? Sometimes, maybe you won't get along, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to help you the best I can. And, fortunately, again, 99% of the time, I feel like I get along with everybody because I'm trying to find common ground. That's something else I feel like, no one likes to be sold to, but I feel like everyone likes someone to help them.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I read a book called Sumo Salesman, and it really talked about how the sumo wrestler and, you know, served the emperor, and, you know, if you having that mentality of like, I'm serving my client. And I see a lot of that in the real estate business and property management, because I mean, that's an emotional thing. This is where I'm keeping my stuff, on my house or my apartment or my business. Very, very emotional relationship there. You can't mess that up. But yeah, the work ethic, the camaraderie, and something else is funny. It occurs to me every now and then, I know what a bad day looks like. I've had bad days where I'm like, are we going to make it through this day? That never happens in my job today. So I'm like, okay, by my experience, I don't have any bad days.
Sure.
I have really good days, then I just have days, you know, but I'm a perpetual optimist, and I try to have a great day every day. But I think that, you know, it's all about perspective too. I mean, you know, if you've never had a really bad day, if you've never had to really grind through something really hard, you know, I feel like you're missing out on the real meaning of life, and the benefit of being a great sales professional is, you know, knowing what, you know, in the military, we call it embrace the suck, you know, and sometimes you just got to embrace the suck and plow through the problem and get to the end of the, you know, get to the solution as fast as you can. So that's right. I'm pulling that a lot.
There's an old Johnny Cash song where he opens it up talking about drive on, right? And like, drive on, just embrace the suck, drive on. And you know, sometimes you gotta eat it and just see past it. Like I find it really interesting to talk through folks that have been through that experience, because there's just like, to your point, like, our definition of a bad day has no bearing on your definition of a bad day. And so you talk about grit and adversity, and you also have an exceptional level of gratitude that comes through everything you talk about, right? Wow. And that mindset of seeking to serve is something that is exceptionally strong on the sales side of things, particularly if your orientation has to be around asking questions. And like, one of the things that I've had to kind of deprogram myself from is being the person with all the answers. Like, in all the years of consulting, like, there really was like an attitude of like, we had to be at minimum one day ahead of the client.
Yeah.
Right. And you could be, sometimes you're years ahead of the client, but minimum you had to be one day ahead of them. And that could mean that we're learning at night so we can be the smartest person in the room the next day, but we always had to be smarter than the client. And what I find in the sales side, and so that kind of breeds this talk first, ask later approach to things. And I've had to go through like, you know, serious deprogramming to move away from that. And I'm really, you know, appreciative of the fact that you've came through with the discipline that you have from the military, and then applying kind of, maybe it's your personality, maybe it's just your experience of gratitude, servitude, and ultimately, like, I don't know, like empathy to the problems that people are trying to solve, and then having the kind of the third pillar of the grit and having been through adversity, that, like, you know, if you get 100 no's in a day, no big deal, right? Yeah. I'm just going to keep on. Tomorrow's another day. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's 100 no's tomorrow, but I'm just going to persist.
That's right.
Because there's a really good book. This is what I was trying to get at. Have you read the book by Nicholas Taleb called Anti-Fragile?
No, but I've heard someone else recommend it before.
It's outstanding. It talks about how, like, so his first book was called Black Swan, which is a very good read. Yeah, I've heard that. And then he had another book. And the last one, or one of his books, was Anti-Fragile. The premise around Anti-Fragile, which makes it, I think there's something specifically relevant to maybe your background, or at least those that are like you, is this: I'm not bulletproof, but I'm not going to break. And you can't break me, right? I can't be broken, because I've got the discipline, the perseverance, the self-confidence. And the book, he talks about different systems that are natively fragile. And, like, as an example, like, command and control has a fragile design to it, but like networks have an anti-fragile design to it. And the way you describe kind of like yourself, it sounds very anti-fragile, right? Where you're like, you're built to be resilient. You're the cockroach. And those things are those are admirable qualities that I think I tend to see that really frequently in folks that are successful in sales.
Wow.
And it's what's interesting about it is that you can make that make you bitter, or you can take that as inspiration to serve and support. And so where I'm getting on this is that when we get into the hell yes conversation and you build a reputation for serving and supporting and being anti-fragile, it attracts leads. Like, people want to work with Chris because of those attributes that are uniquely yours. Because you can go from company to company and attract the same type of people that are looking for resilience and trusted advisors for their decisions that may feel risky to them.
Yep. No. Well, even you mentioned going company to company. I've been having this conversation a lot lately. People bringing it up, but about 10 years ago, I had a mentor, tell me, he goes, Christian, to really build your brand, promote your brand, and let your employer take it, benefit from your brand. Don't focus on building your employer's brand, because now, now if the company goes away or fails, I mean, you're tied to that. Have your own brand and build out again, let people know who you are, what you believe in, what you stand for. And, people will want to hire you because of that. And you can still be yourself, but do a great work for somebody, or start your own business, obviously is a big, that's another option. But where I'm at in my life right now, I just love what I'm doing. I mean, I love learning. I love learning because I tell you, just every time I go to a trade show, there's just always something, there's always something new. Sometimes it's smoke and mirrors. Sometimes it's the same thing with a new label on it.
Yeah.
But I'm finding, because I'm starting to be able to pick those out. I'm like, I don't know about that. But then there are, people are really thinking outside the box. There's, it's an exciting time to be in technology. It's an exciting time to be in sales when you do it right, and I love your show. I love that the concept of, hey, let's talk about how do you get to hell yes. Because that's ultimately what you want. But I've also learned to be okay with hell no, because and to me, hell no is that I had a boss said, no, that they don't mean no, they just mean not right now. They're going to make a buying decision eventually. We all do. At some point, you're going to change providers here, change cars, change house, change service. Everything's going to change. You're going to make a buying decision. Just not right now. I'm not in the market. If there's no time, there's no budget, and there's no immediate need. And I can tell salespeople, don't try to close the unclosable. Because again, a lot of hotshot salespeople think, well, I can close anything.
Yeah.
But if you have to lie or manipulate or set false expectations,
or worse, discount.
Oh my God, giving it away. We are revenue generators. If you're not at least selling enough to cover your expense, your cost of being there, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. It's an interesting situation to put yourself in from a sales perspective, because we do have the quarter that creates that time wall, right? And the beauty of revenue generating products or sales or activities is that you can always press against the quarter, and there's always been a quarter to you. Even if you have a good quarter, the next quarter is going to be better. There's always a gap to close, right?
Right.
And like when you look at your customers, the suppliers, like what's the time wall that they're trying to solve for? And what I mean by that is that if I don't solve this by then this happens.
Yeah.
So what are your suppliers? And again, you can pick and choose which side you want to talk to, but like, what's the time wall they're trying to solve something by?
Well, so all these suppliers have sales professionals, and we typically call them channel managers, or channel leaders. They're instead of selling directly, they're selling indirectly through us, through our trusted advisors.
Yeah,
they're on a monthly quota, so, and that's sometimes the joke internally, come the 2 or 3 days before end of month, all these channel managers are on the phone going, hey, what can we do to close this today? Of course, trusted advisors don't care for that. Customers don't care for that. And I've always felt, so yeah, I've coached people through that, even leaders of organizations I've been with, because the problem is if you just drain your funnel to hit that monthly number, well, guess what? On the first, you got nothing. And you still need that number on the first too. And I've always been just a big believer. And I know some people, this may be controversial. I know sales leaders that totally disagree with this. But at the end of the day, if you're doing it right, you got the right product at the right price, and you're solving the right problems, and you're getting the word out through either referrals or marketing, you will create a steady flow of funnel. And it's all about proper follow-up, listening to the customer. I mean, just removing that friction. Talk about risk. Try identify the risk. Let's talk about the risk. Let's get it out in the open. Let's address it. Here's what we're going to do to negate that risk. You're going to be okay. I mean, I've especially when I was on the more on this, I worked on suppliers, by the way. I've not always been at a technology service distributor. I've been a supplier. I've been a channel manager. I've been a direct sales guy. I've never worried about the end of month or the end of quarter, because I just had a firm belief, you do the right thing long enough, you will get there. I've lived it. I mean, maybe it sounds too flowery and, too rainbows and sunshine, but do the right thing long enough, you'll hit your goals, you'll get there. So you might say, okay, well, Chris, I've been doing this a long time and I'm not getting there. Well, maybe you're not doing the right things. Maybe you need to rewire something. You need to tweak something. Maybe it's your approach, it's your personality. Maybe you need some Altoids. You get bad breath. I mean, whatever it is. I mean, sometimes it may be the smallest, simplest things that you're overlooking. But I believe, if you look around, to me, every organization I go to the number one salesperson and go, I want to, can I shadow you? Can I ride with you? Can I interview you? What's your best practices? What's a day in the life of you look like? And I just model myself after that. And then once I get there, then I'll start making it my own. I'll start tweaking it myself. And to me, it's like, this isn't rocket science, but it's a lot of work. And to some of the best salespeople I know, like me, I came from a broken home, single mother, had ramen noodles and hot dogs for dinner many nights. I want to make money, and when you're hungry and you appreciate the value of money, and if you like helping people, I mean, sales can be a great lifestyle, because you're helping people, you're solving problems, and you're making a good living doing it. I mean, that's a win.
Outstanding. Do you, when you take a look at a couple of things, actually, as you're talking, there's some things that you speak about. Have you read the book, The Go-Giver by Bob Burg?
Man, you got some good ones. No, I've not.
So two things you just thought of. The Go-Giver by Bob Burg is a great book. He's got a whole series. That one lines up right with you. And then the other one that made me think about it is the book by Pete Carroll, a football coach, called The Score Takes Care of Itself.
Oh, there you go.
Which is just, if you stay disciplined, keep at it. And then the third one that I was thinking about, which is just like dials in with you, is the is it called Abundant? I can't remember who's it by, but it's about an abundant mindset versus
I've heard that one as well.
I can't remember who wrote that one. That's a good book too.
Yeah.
It kind of,
I don't know where I got it, Guillermo, but I do believe like the universe has this desire to just take care of me, man. I mean, I believe things are going to work out, and they almost always do. I had a coworker one time, and we had this conversation. Just look, 3 out of 4 times, it works. Prove
the other way.
That's where that abundant mindset does come from. I mean, I just expect 1, 2. I try to kid myself, going back to trying to close the unclosable. I'm like, okay, they don't have a budget. There's no immediate need. I mean, I'm cutting bait here. I'm not going to invest something. But if I see, hey, you have a need, I know you have a problem, I know I can solve your problem, we're going to make this happen, and be willing.
And I find it interesting. Like, I find in that conversation though, like learning to be selfish with your time, because there's a lot of people that are kind of bored in their job. They'll take sales calls and they just want to talk, and they want to like talk to somebody because they're bored. Right. Well, I mean, as a salesperson, you got to be selfish with your time, saying that's not going to close. I got to move on. That's like, right. I've moved all my meetings down to half an hour. Because like we can get to meeting, 25 minutes, because I want to be mindful of their time at the same time. We send preparation emails. I send follow-up emails so that, hey, we're all managing projects here and we've got to keep things on time here. And I'm mindful of your time. And if we want to just have a chit chat, let's go grab a beer by the pool, but I'm not, not in a sales day.
Yeah.
We got to get through things fast.
Yeah. That going back to mindset, getting to hell yes is so much about your attitude and mindset. But I had a boss tell me, Chris, what's your hourly rate? Like, what do you mean? I make this much money on deal. He goes, no, how much you want to make an hour? You're so used to being commission, coin operated. I said, God, this is a long time ago. I said, $100 an hour. Let's do $100 an hour. That sounds good. And then he showed me how that the back end of the numbers, understanding your comp plan. And so, yes, as much as I love solving problems, but I love what you said there. Don't waste your time on stuff that it's not going to meet your needs or get you to where you want to go. Yeah, that I think that comes with experience over time for sure.
Yeah. Folks that are looking to get to Hell Yes, people that talk to you, that looking to mentor from you, what's the one piece of advice you give them?
I give a lot of advice, Cameron. That's hard to give one piece. No, well, I think stay true to yourself. Yeah. Do the right thing and stay focused. I mean, in fact, even all my sales teams, even my kids, we lived when they were in high school. We lived far enough away from the high school. The bus came at 5:30 in the morning because it was such a long drive. And so I drove them to school. I said, man, I don't want you had to get up that early. So I drove them to school. And every time, all 4 of them, all 4 years of high school, when I drop them off, stay focused and do the right thing. And then it occurred to me one day, it's like, well, what do you stay focused on, and what is the right thing? So that's where that personal journey comes in. You got to be able to answer that. What is the right thing to you? I believe all of us generally have the same answer, different words, and staying focused. Your goals, your ambitions, relationships. I mean, we all, at the end of the day, we're all more alike than we're different. Sometimes it does frustrate me with so much this conflict in society, because I do feel like we all just want a chance. We all just want to, but at the same token, what's the saying? Equal opportunity, but not equal results. I mean, if you're not willing to put the work in, you're not going to get what I've got. And in fact, I know people. I just left Fort Lauderdale, and I saw all these massive houses and multi-million-dollar yachts. Yeah, and selfish, fleshy person. I'm like, how can I get one of those? But I'm like, I don't know if I want to do what they did. Maybe they probably had to sacrifice a lot more than I did. I mean, maybe you don't know. But then it also helped that I come back to, what though, my life's pretty good. I thou shalt not covet. I was like, I'm not hating on them. I wouldn't mind having a boat like that, but you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay.
So I'll give you one more book before we close it out. And just because I'm reading it right now. It's called The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan. And it goes into performance coaching, athletes, executives, etc. And those that focus on the gap have a degenerative mentality around what's possible. And those that focus on the gain, what they've accomplished and what it's very, it's great. I think it's gratitude focused, but that point is like, focus on what you've accomplished. You're going to have a more likelihood of being able to be successful. Because there were a lot of really cool stories of folks that were focused on what they didn't have, and that drove them into depression, versus those that focus on what they do have. And when you're driving yourself into a depressive state, you don't attract people that are seeking growth.
Yes.
And so it's like you need to be in a position to attract people that are seeking growth, and then you grow together, and you get amplified results, right?
Yeah, I could have said it better.
Who should we talk to next? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you've given me 4 good books. I want to drop at least one on you.
Hit me. Do it.
Do you read them a week per? I mean, how many? You've said you read a lot.
I probably read one every 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, Alan Stein Jr. Is a performance coach was a performance coach for the NBA. Kobe Bryant, Durant.
I love those.
I'm not a basketball guy, but he has 2 books out: Raise Your Game and Maintain Your Game.
I love it.
I'm telling you, he's got a podcast too, and coincidentally, had him on my podcast. I'll connect you guys.
I'll ping him. Yeah.
Alan Stein Jr., a fantastic human being, has a great story himself. Didn't come from, didn't have an easy street kind of situation. Great story. And he talks about a lot of the sporting analogies that some people get tired of, but he has so many good ones you never thought about. The one I love the most is I forgot which famous basketball player it was, but he was watching him practice, and he was doing all the basic drills that you learn in junior high as a basketball player. And he goes up to, I think it was Kobe Bryant actually. He goes, "Hey, you're the best in the world. Why are you spending so much time on the basics?" And he goes, "Why do you think I'm the best in the world? Just because it's basic doesn't mean it's easy. You still got to practice the basics." So that was a great reminder of don't get so ahead of yourself. Don't forget the basics of sales. And a lot of people themselves, especially if you've been in it for 10, 15, 20 years, it's so easy to get caught in a rut and create bad behaviors and bad habits. And it's good to go back and read a book like that, or the ones you mentioned, and just kind of revisit the basics.
Yep. I hear you there, man. I hear you there. So maybe this is already the answer to the question's already been given, but like, who should we talk to next?
Oh man, Alan Stein Jr. Well, even Bill
Yeah.
Stinnett, he sells excellence. That's who I need to get you guys hooked up.
Okay.
Bill
Bill
Stinnett,
Stinnett.
he owns a company called Sells Excellence, and he's made
All
a
right.
career out of getting into Hell Yes.
Let's do it. That sounds awesome. Do you know those folks? Like,
I know him personally. Yeah, I just
Awesome.
texted him
Everyone
yesterday.
needs to hear that story. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
How can people get a hold of you?
TheWirelessWay.net. That's the name of my podcast. I got my own website. There's a contact us link on there. I have some other resources on there. Starting to add a new page where my favorite podcast, which I'm going to add you to.
All right.
Yeah, TheWirelessWay.net. And you can contact me there and learn more. Or on my LinkedIn page, Christopher Whitaker. And if you're in the technology advisory industry and you want to learn how you can get residual commission for hundreds and hundreds of different solutions, Intelisys.com as well. So I can help connect you there if needed.
Outstanding. If you're listening, follow us on Getting to Hell Yes. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. Follow us, comment, like, download, all those fun stuff. Makes a big difference. And you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, whatever you want. I'm pretty good with responses. Thank you so much, Chris. This is an outstanding conversation. Look forward to more of them in the future, and hopefully we can see each other in person.
You bet. I'm down with that. Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.